taxing. I think that people need to remember what's in this bill. So not only are we isolating women that maybe can't or don't want to have children, we're offering then $5,000 to pay you to have kids. And then if you have a more than 6, I believe, or something like that, you get even more money. We're offering a National Medal of Motherhood. That's the one for more than 6 kids. And then reserving Fulbright scholarships for parents. So in the same party that doesn't want things reserved for diversity, equity, and inclusion, they would prefer them just to be only reserved for motherhood.
So you're saying you don't want to do those things?
No, I'm just saying I don't understand, like, the party. You don't like when people talk out of both sides of their mouth. You always talk about that. When the party says one thing, we talked about that with Disney and Abu Dhabi, right? So how can a party say one thing, that they want all these children, but then at the same time not support them in any real ways, like cutting access to care, not supporting mothers after they have the children?
Well,
I think that these are valid things to bring up. You don't just have a kid and then everything goes away. I mean, these taxes and the way that things are going to be more expensive can get really crazy. During COVID, buying baby formula was an issue that I had under Trump. You know what I mean? Like, these are all things that are not manufactured, parents have to deal with. And I think when you don't address the entirety of parenthood and just say, we'll give you $5,000 to start, that's how you get more people, I think, on systems that Republicans tend to not like Medicaid.
Well, for instance, with the baby formula thing, because a colleague of mine at Reason Magazine did a lot of reporting on this, one reason it was so expensive is the FDA and government officials did everything they could to make it impossible to procure other kinds of baby formula. There's an over-regulation of that category of goods that made it more difficult for mothers. Even you can make your own baby formula. There were recipes for it on social media, and I'm sure at the behest of the administration, those were vigorously suppressed because can't have anybody just using good old-fashioned know how to put it together for themselves. Look, I would say the Republican Party is moving forward with those things you mentioned that are actually cash handouts to mothers that I actually don't support, but many in the Republican Party do want to have actually pro-natalist policies. I'm for having policies that obviously we need to make it easier, cheaper, more affordable to start a family. That has gotten so out of whack in this country because things that require labor intensity have gotten more expensive. Childcare is much more expensive. Right. Education is much more expensive. Healthcare is much more expensive. And that reality, I think, makes it so difficult for people, or people delay having a family until you're really, affluent and established, because you don't, when you feel like you're not financially ready to do it if you get married in your early 20s or partnered up, decide you want to have a child, then you're not ready because you don't have enough money. That is a problem, but I see our massive welfare and entitlement system as very much a cause of that problem. It's a massive transfer of wealth to older Americans. That is what we get out of Medicare and Medicaid. It is extracting value from young, healthy people who want to start families and giving it to the elderly.
Well, I think it's doing what our country does in protecting our most vulnerable,
Boomers
and I think that that's admirable. But I also understand that under Trump, we closed the CDC's Division of Reproductive Health. How is that directly tied to having kids? Because you're not allowing access to important research and information that's necessary to make sure that mothers and parents and families have everything they need. They also cut funding for women's health programs. So, these are things that are part of the DOGE cuts. These are conversations
I assume most things at the CDC should be cut.
No, that's ridiculous. Come on. You can't just paint this with a broad stroke brush, right? The CDC is not all bad.
In our nation's moment of need during the pandemic.
Don't even bring up
ordered an end.
We're not talking about
tests.
COVID. We're talking about stick to the topic. Stick to the topic.
Sometimes when you get an F, it's like, okay, that was your one shot. You blew it. You have no credibility.
Have you never gotten a bad grade? Have you never gotten a bad grade? Okay, I still
My
think you're very smart. I still think you're very smart. So that's what I mean. You can't. You have to allow room for error, but also understand that these programs are in place with the intent to protect the American public. And when Republicans cut them, it makes it much harder for things like parenthood to be an easy, beautiful task. It becomes a strenuous, very expensive task.
I understand that it's expensive. I'm not a parent. Maybe someday. I have family members with a lot of kids. It's I know it is demanding. I'm always struck by it. Like, it's true. It used to be the case that the average family size was massive, right? That you'd have like 6 or 8 kids or something, and now the only people doing that it's immigrants, as Hillary Clinton said, or Elon Musk himself, and what's his name? I can't think of his name. Michael Cannon? No. I can't think of his name right now. Do you know who I'm talking about? The actor? What's
Oh,
his name?
Nick Cannon.
Nick Cannon, yeah. Because
But I also,
the world's going to be repopulated by Elon Musk.
we
and
talked
Nick
about
Cannon.
even across the board. So even if you cut out that you don't like the CDC's reproductive health programs, we also.
I just don't like the CDC.
You don't like the CDC. Period.
I don't know specifically what the programs are.
You don't like the CDC. Period.
I've never met a program I
Trump's
didn't
policies
eliminate.
right now are not parent friendly. If Yale is estimating that every household is going to spend $3,800 more this year, how are we in a highly inflated economy in a position to have more children? Even for me, if I had a kid 3 years ago, it's not going to be the same thing if I decide to have a kid tomorrow. To me, life got more expensive than it did 3 years ago. So you can't run on the fact that when I was president last time, your life was cheaper and you may had much more money in your pocket, but also you don't right now, but have more kids. You know, it's just, the argument just has too many conflicting points for people that actually understand what it takes for the comprehensive support you need to raise a kid.
Next up, we've got lots more to talk about on Rising. Stay with us.